Will you just come to the theater with me? Pei was exasperated and wasn't shy about letting it show. You're plotting. Distrust was heavy in Sam's voice. He wasn't looking up from the sketchbook in his hands. The textbooks he should have been studying were laying open on the bed by his feet. Yes, I'm plotting your future, was the annoyed admission. Tanner's motivated to make this production a big thing. Having that in your portfolio is going to make your future that much easier. An embittered puff of air moved through Sam's nose. I think we've been through enough already that we deserve something good happening. Pei's tone had gone serious and soft. Sam's hand stopped moving. His head turned towards Pei just the smallest fraction, but intense eyes remained upon the paper resting against his knees. Sensing the uncrossable line was near, Pei lightened his tone. So stop being a stubborn ass and just come with me. I don't like crowds. Sam's pencil was moving again. You'll only have to deal with Tanner and me. He sat up, feeling the shift in their argument. I'm not dealing with a single other person, was the petulant demand. Pei laughed as he sat back. I can't control everyone. But I'm sure your warm personality will take care of the rest. Sam gave a terse nod. A smile was hidden behind a loose fist. His right thumb hit play on the video that had been waiting for his attention. A folder was placed upon a stack of folders at Tanner's right. It was the last of the pile, and he stood up to tuck them into a neat pile. Picking them up, he moved to the head of the classroom. Already done? The professor looked up from the paper he was grading. He looked tired and haggard, which is why Tanner had offered to help. You've got some bright students this year, he complimented as he set the pile down. And some lazy ones, was the tack on. It was with a laugh that he pointed out. The same as every year. Thank you very much for your help, Tanner. The professor sat back to stretch cramping muscles. No problem. I'm happy to help, he reassured. Before you leave, the professor was reaching for his briefcase. I have something for you. There's no need, he was prepared to wave off the offer. There sure is. Your help is appreciated. And I don't just mean for today. It doesn't come without a reward. A business card was turned over. He almost hesitated to take it, but his thumb and bent finger took hold of it. What's this? I know you're busy making our university's first miniseries. One of our former students works in the industry. Said he'd be very interested in seeing what you pull together. Reach out to him when you have a chance. Might even be able to help you if you're facing any problems. It's art, there's always problems, he laughed, holding the card close to his chest. He found himself asking, he's really okay with me reaching out? It'll be a lost opportunity if you don't, was the caution. Thank you, he couldn't express his gratitude properly. And thank you. I wouldn't have trusted just anyone with marking up those papers. I'm happy to help. Lets me see some of the talent the first years have that I can exploit. He wasn't joking, but he was laughing. Have a good night. He left to head to the theater, stopping at the storage room to grab a box of supplies. When he got to the theater, he set it down next to Sam and Tai. He glanced at Sam before walking away. Do you think you'll have what you need with these? Sam was looking down at the contents. Do we have a budget to work with? Sadly, not really. It's all donations that we'll be working with and whatever we can scrounge up. Sam accepted it with a nod. Then let's say that I got what I need. And don't ask questions when I scrounge something up. Several heads turned his direction in question. Tai was chuckling. It was interesting to Tanner that in the short time since Sam had finally given Tai his name, the two were rarely seen without each other. That could be because Tai was inserting himself in Sam's life. But it was noteworthy that Sam wasn't ordering Tai to stay away. On the stage, Jazz sat across from Aang and Kryze. They were working on a promotional banner for the show. The atmosphere was light, but something important was weighing on her mind. Her eyes upon Sam and Tai indicated that her line of thinking matched his own. A delicate finger touched her lips in thought. The paintbrush she held nearly touched her hair. I'm going to claim him. I already did. Tai waved off her statement as though it weren't something that mattered. Sam looked between the two, unsure who he was wanting to snarl at first. Hearing Tai's snicker was the deciding factor. Jazz was dismissive of Tai's claim. You've already got Tanner. Geo and Court have each other. So, Sam is mine. I'm a commodity, Sam muttered, going back to his work on the backdrop. Meaning he's one of us and I get to keep him, Tai happily made the claim. This was fun to watch. He'd never before seen Tai so intensely focused on something that wasn't a fight or a match. Well, of course, Jazz was answering Tai's question as though it had been obvious. There's something about you too. Completely agree, Aang gave her vote. Unlike the others, Sam's bothered, almost fearful look had Tanner's attention. Though other tasks waited, he held back to watch. Fine, Tai was giving in to Jazz, but nothing romantic. Sam's mouth worked soundlessly. Well, of course, nothing romantic, she laughed. I've already got an interest. A lot of gazes moved swiftly her direction, taking the attention off Sam and Tai. She was back to her work, should something develop. I may deem to inform you all. No way, Aang doesn't know. Tai looked speculatively at Aang. Aang didn't look up from her work. Aang might, but has informant anonymity. That's not the right term. And it only works with reporters under interrogation by the law, Kryze let her know. And you're that reporter if I tell you. Aang looked at her sister. Ooh, Kryze's face lit up. I win. Sorry, Tai. She has immunity. You're lucky you're one of us. Tai waved a finger in her direction. Kryze set her chin upon her folded hands. Her elbows rested on her knees. Delight made those eyes sparkle. So, I can't figure out what the benchmark is for that. What did we do to earn that? I'd like to know too, but Sam didn't sound happy like Kryze did. Tanner felt a smile bubble up. He also wasn't sure what he'd ever done to earn the title of family, but he hadn't regretted a moment of it. It was Geo that responded as he came from backstage. You saw through Kurt's BS and called him out on it. What the hell he sees in Sam, I've no idea. Sam seemed to find that funny. Kryze's curiosity pulled focus away from that chuckle. Can I ask how you all became family? Geo nodded. Cord and Tai met through rugby. I met Tanner here at university. Jazz and Tai go way back. We all just click. You're a business major, is that right, Geo? Kryze tucked her hair behind her ear as she glanced up from her work. Geo nodded. Our father owns a successful chain of home decor stores. So, you'll be taking over for him? Geo scoffed lightly. No. I'm going to succeed at the dream he failed at. I'm sorry? His dream was to be a famous furniture designer, but he failed. So, he settled for running a shop. Kryze went for an unexpected angle. Do you design furniture? No, but I'll be a better businessman. I plan on going into a partnership with someone who is an amazing artist. A hunger burned in Geo's eyes. Sam's mine, Tai called out just in case there was any idea in Geo's mind. I said amazing artist, Geo snapped back. Tai was about to move in challenge of Geo's remark. Sam elbowed him. You started it, and I don't need accolades to know I'm awesome at what I do. Grudgingly, Geo's lips pursed as he nodded approval. Okay, he's in. Aw, you got Geo's approval too. Jazz softly clapped her hands. And we already know you got Court's vote. So that's everyone. Why? There was pain Sam was trying to massage from his temples with dirty hands. Amused, Tai pulled those hands away to wipe at the paint now staining his hairline. Todd's uncertain voice pulled their attention. He had been coming towards them. The others with him continued to move on with their tasks. Todd, just in time, Tanner stepped forward. There was too much work that needed to be done for him to continue standing idly around watching them. What do you need? Muted hope shone in Todd's eyes. His gaze was all over the stage. Probably looking for Court. The crew could use some snacks. Oh, that hope crashed. Come on. Tanner jumped down off the stage. Tai. Sam, what do you want? Water, Tai called out with a nod of thanks. Sam? There was a grimace of pain on Sam's face. A moment passed before he muttered, water. Tai's smile was adorable. Sam hid behind a snarl. Lots of people drink water. We both work out, remember? Tai's eyes moved slowly over Sam's body. Say it, and I leave, Sam bit out. Leave and I follow, Tai warned with amusement. Laughing at the two of them, Tanner urged Todd to go. Behind them, those two continued to flirt. Todd glanced behind. He had a timid look. There was something almost vulnerable about him. Maybe just lost. Naturally, it was Tanner's desire to offer his help. What's up? Well, he sounded timid, that guy, Sam. Lots of people say he's got a bad attitude. A laugh came quickly. They say that about everyone I call family, but you've known Court for a few years now. Do you think he's a bad person just because some people don't like him? No, that's not it at all. Todd was waving his hands frantically. It's just, something's off. Don't you think? He slowly nodded. Peyton's got a goal. You get that too? I don't know, he shrugged. From what I can tell, I don't think Sam's aware of it, he chuckled. And I don't think it's malicious, whatever Peyton has in mind for his friend. Sam himself isn't malicious. He's just hiding something. That's dangerous though, Todd inserted quickly. It's his right. Tanner shrugged. Besides, I don't think I've ever seen Ty focused on anything that makes him happy. So, I'll keep an eye out for him, but he's an adult. I'll trust him. Because one thing I can absolutely trust is that Ty will always keep what's his safe. Someone calling Tanner's name had them both turning to look. It was one of the crew. Sorry to interrupt, he was nearly breathless as he ran to catch up. No worries, he waved the apology off. What's wrong? We have the field booked for shooting next week. But now the football team says they're taking the time slot because there's rain or possibly snow in the forecast. They won't listen to reason, saying that sports are more important than some dress-up time. The animation used during this rant was increasing. Tanner put up a hand. Relax. I'll talk to them, and if we need to, we can film some in the rain. But that doesn't work with the story. It will when Jazz changes it. She'll gush over a kissing scene in the rain. He laughed it off easily. Why in the rain? Todd's little voice questioned. They both looked his direction and shrugged. Tanner vocalized the sentiment, no idea. But she loves it, and if it brings us more views, I'm happy to let her write it in. Tanner, a new voice pulled their attention. A long ponytail swung as the girl moved with brisk steps. There's a problem with the lighting. A whole section of lights won't come on, and one of the spotlights is burned out. I'll take the concern to the school council. It's on them to fix those issues, he assured. But we're starting filming next week. She was very concerned. What if the light is backordered like the cables last year? Tanner, a third voice interrupted. I get that the banner is important. But without the backdrop, how are we supposed to shoot our first scenes? It's going to take months to get a proper backdrop. Relax. We already have an artist working on that. About that, terse had been the tone. He singled each person out with orders. Get me the list of repairs and I'll bring it to the school. Get me the newest schedule and I'll work with the sports teams. And stop worrying so much about the art. We have talented volunteers and I'm overseeing everything. Tanner, another voice. He dropped his head back for a moment as a stressed sigh almost slipped out. Court is asking for you in the sound booth. With that, this crew member ran off with a wave. He looked at Todd. You okay to get the drinks on your own? A quick nod. Sure. From his wallet, he pulled out cash just in case the kid needed it, something sweet with caffeine in it. Make sure to grab Court and Peyton something too, thanks. He moved off to find Court. The other three were following him back to the theater. Inside, they broke apart in various directions. His led him to the sound booth. When he walked inside, he found Court and Peyton discussing the script. He kept his voice light. What's up? Nothing much, Court grinned. Just thought you could use a break from the needy rabble. A smile washed over and he dropped his shoulders. Thanks. They're the same every year. Court shook his head. At some point, you gotta learn how to say no. Should I start with you? He taunted. Like I'd listen. Court then changed the subject. Hey, you coming out after this? He shook his head. Jazz and I have a student council meeting. It'll probably run late. Just try. Okay, Court urged. You need to have fun once in a while. Who says this isn't fun? He laughed, but his promise to Mel came to mind. The look both Court and Peyton had said it all. Court pointed out, I saw like 5 people rush out to find you right after you left. Still with a smile, he gestured with his head towards the stage. There's a number of issues. Yet, they're all leaving. Peyton was looking down at the auditorium. The numbers had significantly decreased in the last hour. It was getting late, and most of the crew had left for either other activities or for supper. Other than a couple of stragglers, the only people working were their friends. I'm going to see if I can help out at all. Maybe ease a few minds. He moved to leave the sound booth. Then if I can, I will join you guys for a bit tonight before the meeting. Deal. I'm no Sam, but I'll help if I can, Peyton offered. Me too. Court moved with them. Thanks, he said to the both of them. They headed down to the stage, talking about the show. Peyton lightly punched Court's arm. Hey, think you can come out on the weekend with sound equipment while I do some stunts? I got practice lined up, so it would work out great. Realism, Court nodded as they walked up the stairs. I like it. At the least, you'll hear the sounds for yourself if you have to recreate them. You could find them online in a minute. Sam's suggestion wasn't meant to be helpful. Peyton turned around. The finger pointed at his friend spun around and was switched so that he was now giving his friend the finger. You're an asshole. Sam's smile was something he seemed to struggle with to keep hidden. So, he turned back to his art to keep it to himself. Court began cleaning up the stage. So Tanner and Peyton helped since the others had the art covered. Court asked the group, anyone up for supper? I'm starving. Jazz looked over, sorry, can't. I'm having supper with my dad and then I have the council meeting. Tanner, you're coming, right? He nodded. Good, because the show is top on the list of discussions. We also have a list of issues, he noted as he opened a garbage bag. Lighting, she was back to her work. Among others, he gave a pained sigh. Your dad coming here to pick you up, Jazz? Or do you want a lift? Gio offered. She shook her head, he's running late, so if you don't mind. I'd appreciate a lift. He never minds when it's you, Jazz, Court mocked his brother. Her smile lit up her face. Peyton put some trash in the bag, if you guys want. The band's playing at the pavilion again tonight. You can have supper there. I love that idea, Court was game. Cries and I can't, let them know. We have supper plans, and Cries is too young. Damn, Court didn't hide his disappointment. Tanner threw away a takeout container someone had left behind, if we want to call it soon. I'll make time for food. Really? The surprised question from Gio wasn't unexpected. With a smile, I promised Mel I would get off campus. She sends her love. Oh, and Jazz. She's now dating a woman. I knew it. Jazz was proud of herself. Tanner watched as Ty handed Sam a new paintbrush dipped in blue. The orange paintbrush went into the water. The exchange had been thoughtless without words or eye contact. Tanner wasn't the only one that had seen it. Peyton held a merciless grin, but there was no inflection in his tone. Sam. You gonna come to the bar? After what happened the last time, it's a resounding hell no. The reply had also been thoughtless. What happened last time? Court stopped working. Sam also stopped working. Ty took the paintbrush out of Sam's hand. It wasn't a silent question, so much as a silent demand to talk. Shook, Sam stared back. Any authority he had with Peyton. It was lost with Ty. Peyton let them all in on something. Sam forgets everything when he's lost in his work. I will murder you in your sleep. Pay, Sam warned behind a hand which now massaged his eyes. Why do you think I don't sleep alone? Peyton didn't seem bothered by the threat. Sam stared over at him. Don't blame sleeping around on me. Okay, but really, what happened? Court was laughing at them. Nothing, the word was uttered sharply. It seemed that Sam was saying this more for Ty than for anyone else. Ty stepped closer. He was focused intently on Sam's eyes. It had everyone's attention. Sam's nervous hands were held between their bodies. Because it seemed his nature, Peyton stirred the pot. I think the video says it all for you. Video? Gio questioned tersely. Pay, Sam ground out. Ty's head tilted as he stepped closer. They were close enough that Ty could easily kiss Sam. The way those hands tentatively touched Ty's abdomen said Sam might just allow it. But with nervous eyes Sam firmed his resolve. I'm not telling you anything. What is this video? Where do we find it? Court was holding his phone. Who knows about it? You said you deleted it, Sam tersely reminded his friend. When Ty glanced over, Tanner knew they were caught. Ty's expression was a warning, you know about it. Jazz does too, he didn't take the warning too seriously. Sam looked resigned as a sigh dropped his shoulders. From the lips that pouted he muttered, can't believe you haven't seen it. I don't even have a phone and I've seen it. 'Cause I showed it to you. Peyton was gleeful. Tanner, can we talk to you? Determined voices interrupted them. Just a minute, he tried to wave them off. But they weren't to be dismissed, it's really important. I doubt that. Court was offended by the delay. He wanted answers. So did Ty. At the look of relief Sam had, Ty let him know. You're still on the hook. Sam challenged back with a silent look. Ty stepped closer. And though Sam continued to maintain eye contact, when his chin dropped a fraction, it signaled a shift. Ty's predatory grin came out. Sam looked away in defeat with his arms crossed. Can we talk over there? It was a quiet request. Almost embarrassed, yet there was a look of determination from the crew members. Figuring that he knew what it was about, Tanner prepared himself for an argument he'd heard before. He would play nice because the success of this big project depended upon their ability to get along. When they were far enough away that the crew felt safe in speaking, he asked, "What's up?" "We have a concern," was the familiar approach. Tanner worked to keep the inner comments from showing on his face. They pressed on. We all need to feel comfortable and safe as a group, right? He nodded. Of course. Then, the guy looked to his friends. We all think it's best if that guy doesn't work on this project. His reputation could hurt the production. Tanner pursed his lips to bite back the comments that should come out but would also damage the working relationship he was trying to foster. One of the others added, I'm sure he's a good artist, but he's already threatened the photography club. Everyone's afraid of him, even his professors. Look, Tanner sighed. Then the words registered and confusion washed over him. Wait, you're talking about Sam? Well, yeah, who do you think? Ty, he laughed. He'd been prepared for that argument. What did he do with this? Yeah, well, after that kiss it's pretty much a given that they're a package. And look at the way they are together. We also don't want your friend around. But he doesn't want his name in the credits, so. Tanner cut them off. Neither does Sam. What? Sam isn't interested in the credits. He's only concerned with his schooling and his portfolio. Something you guys should be thinking about too. With his help, we're going to elevate this project. You all picked his artwork out of the submissions. That was before we knew who it was the defense. It didn't hold with Tanner, all the more reason why it matters. You made your choices based upon the skill you saw before you, not on rumors. So, I don't want to hear a damn thing more about it. Sam is working on this project. You don't have to like it. But it was your decision. Fear on their faces showed him that the situation was changing. He glanced to his left just as Sam walked up. There was an edge about him that frightened the others. But his only words were to, just let it go. Sam moved on by. The three making the plea fell back fearfully. But Sam held no interest in them. On the other hand, Ty had a pointed interest. That hard glare sent chills through even Tanner. This wasn't over for Ty, who followed Sam out. The others were only steps behind them. At the doors, Todd stood with bags holding their drinks in hand. He held them up, his voice trailed off as he tried to let them know, I got the drinks. Tanner looked at his crew. Good luck now. You have till tomorrow to find replacements, or I get them all back. And I don't want to hear another word about it. But that's not enough time. It was almost a whine. Should have thought about that before you opened your mouths. Get to work, he called over his shoulder. Where are you going? This was called out to him. With a wave over his shoulder, lock up when you're done. If they're not budging, they're not budging. It was a simple thing for Sam to shrug off. He tried to encourage space between himself and Ty with a glare. But this is your passion. Sam, Jazz defended. And they're just stupid sheep being swayed by the rumors. I've got studies and other projects to work on. I don't need this one, he argued back over his shoulder. And he's got me. I'm a handful, Ty chipped in. You are, Jazz agreed. But I still think this is bullshit. Ty looked immediately at him. You made my Jazzy swear. Sam stopped walking. Notably, they all did. Stop. Sam lifted a finger that moved to point between the two of them. Whatever this is you're orchestrating. He's so suspicious. Ty moved his head towards Jazz. Yet his gaze remained on Sam. Jazz held Ty's arm gleefully. But does it not piss you off? Cord interrupted the banter. Why waste my energy? He was relieved that the previous exchange was over. Because it's not right. They can't just kick you out because of a few stupid rumors, Cord argued. Sam glanced meaningfully at Ty. More than a few. Ty flashed a grin. No regrets. What about Sam? Jazz surprisingly came to his defense. It's his grade and name on the line. Knowing things they did not, there was a whisper of a smile that rose to his lips. I don't care. But, she couldn't understand. We're not friends, Sam curtly reminded as he turned away. And I don't need anyone looking out for me. There was a growing problem that needed to be cut down now. It didn't matter how much Tanner's production would build his portfolio. This had to stop. For their sake even more than his own, it was best to walk away now. Her anger was tweaked. We still have a video to discuss, Cord interrupted them. He cringed, which only got a laugh out of Peyton. There, Peyton was on his phone. Send you all the video. Peyton, he snarled. Woo, full name, Peyton was laughing. On that note, I'd better run. You cannot run far enough, Sam warned bitterly. I'll take the girls home, Gio offered. Cries raised a hand in question, but we get to watch the video first, right? Of course, Cord pulled her close to him so that she could watch on his phone. Sam's hands curled in frustration. He would have walked off, but Ty slipped his hand into Sam's. Surprised, Sam stared blankly. Slowly, a petulant look emerged, allowing the hold upon his hand. He waited for the rest of them to get caught up. Dark and dank, they'd picked that bar because it was familiar. And because the music was tight. The band was the focus of the video being recorded. Before them a collection of dancers on the floor. Though not the focus of the shaky video, when Court walked by with a look on his face that said he was happily in another fight, the phone's owner quickly followed. They caught Court taking a swing at someone who was shoving Gio's shoulder. Gio fell laughing into a booth opposite Ty, who was staring angrily at the table as though it had taken something of value from him. Walking away from the camera was a now familiar head of curly hair. A hook came out of nowhere, sending his opponent to the ground in a heavy heap. Surprised anger shot up from the prone position, until Sam placed a bottle on the ground between them when he knelt. At that, fear kept those eyes locked to the bottle. What was said was lost to the noise of the crowd. A fearful shake of a head indicated much. Bouncers came in and the image shook as the crowd broke apart. Aware of the potential that video would be on him, he donned the jacket being held out to him. Long sleeves helped keep Sam's identity hidden. Long fingers touched an ear filled with piercings as he walked past. Then the video stopped. Having seen the video enough times, Tanner watched Sam, who also wasn't watching. Buried emotions kept breaths shallow. Sam tried to pull his hand away. Can you let go of my hand? Ty was ready with a challenge. Will you stick around to answer our questions? Not interested, the look was direct. Kreis pointed out, in a situation like this, don't you think questions are warranted? Court keenly agreed, like what the hell is going on in this video? That was an awesome hit. Sam's lip curled as he struggled with internal thoughts. A narrowed glance from the corner of his eye moved to catch Ty. The drink was yours. What did you do? Gio had been reprimanding Ty with that question. Jazz gave him a silent reprimand of her own that was punctuated by his brother's punch in the shoulder. Adding in his own notation seemed warranted, so Tanner spoke. No one knows why it happened. And they're quick to write you off as the problem. My only other option is to ask the bar, unless you tell us. That's why you agreed to come out, the biting remark came from Sam. Ty pulled the hand he held and stalled further comment. A warm hand moved to touch Sam's neck. Held still, Sam stared back breathlessly. A focused gaze pierced while a soft tone accused. I have seen these eyes before. Sam swallowed hard. He tried to look away, but his eyes kept moving back to Ty. What's going on? Todd's high voice cut through the moment as he ran to catch up. You guys all left? Ty scowled as Todd rambled. But Sam sighed as he mumbled softly, I'm actually grateful. Ty's scowl shifted to an amused grin. Holding Sam, he said. Talk to me. Though Sam pulled Ty's hand off his neck, the request was enough to get the begrudging confession out. Your drink was spiked. I saw him do it. Though he kept his eyes on Sam. Ty was speaking to Tanner. I'll want to talk to that guy later. I've got a file ready. A file? Really? It wasn't that Sam doubted the truth of this. He tried to pull Ty's hands away. It wasn't allowed. Can I see it? Hope rang clear in Kreis' voice. Kreis, Aang scolded. What? I want to investigate. Tanner exchanged a look with Jazz. From what I've heard, you took these guys home, Sam. Angrily, Sam accused. Is that why you asked me to be the artist for your show? The crew chose your art blindly. You took us home? Gio moved their focus back to the issue. How the hell did you know where we live? Wallets hold all sorts of crazy things. The sarcasm brought out grins from the others. Sam tried again to pull Ty's hands off. Ty brought his face closer. You took my money. There wasn't even an attempt to dodge or lie. Reparations for my time and effort. Plus, I got the bar to waive your tab. So, you're welcome. Ty smiled. He liked that answer. You were in my room. Even more surprising was Sam's next answer. I was in your bed. You're grabby when you're drunk. Ty's raised brow was a silent question. Likely used to being the stronger personality, Sam challenged back. It would only take a moment before Sam would sigh in defeat. There was no use arguing with a drunken idiot. I'm sure you'll be disappointed, but I didn't take advantage of you. I can promise. Ty's voice turned husky. I won't be such a gentleman when the situation's reversed. Sam's grin was touched with arrogance. I'm not about to give you that chance. You sure? Ty's gaze was devouring. 'Cause I'm sure you'll be spending the night with me soon. Court raised his hand to cautiously interrupt. What did you do with the rest of us? Sam gave a breath of a laugh. You went straight for the kitchen. Gio stayed in the car. Since he didn't have keys on him, I left him with the doors locked. Thanks, was Gio's dry remark. Cool, Court was good with that. Guess we owe you. Ty had plans. I got my money, Sam said it with an edge. Ty's smile made him understandably wary. So, I want to know Ty, Tanner looked over. Why the hell did you kiss Sam at the theater if you didn't know any of this? I can't argue his hotness, was Ty's delighted response. His look was slowly devouring Sam. Sam rolled his eyes. I should have let him drug you. I am curious why you didn't, Tanner questioned as they started walking again. Sam was trying unsuccessfully to pull his hand out of Ty's. With an annoyed look he muttered, can't argue his hotness. It was encouragement that Ty and the girls were eating up. Sam gave up trying to remove the hold on his hand. So, where are we going? Todd trailed after Court. Responsible for him, Court was the one to answer, we're going to the pavilion. Todd stopped walking. Isn't that a bar? It got them all to turn their heads. Court laughed. Yeah, one of our favorites. Todd ran to catch up to them, but I can't go. Why? Court was baffled. You not a drinker? Todd and Cries are underage. Jazz pointed this out. Hey, Todd pointed vaguely towards Sam as a thought occurred. Aren't you underage? You're a first year too. Definitely not. Sam shook his head. Not what? Todd was close to demanding an explanation. Did you get held back in high school or something? How old are you? Tanner took this one. One thing we don't do is ask questions like that. If Sam's of age, Sam's of age. Or the ID says I am. Sam held an unapologetic grin that was picked up by the others. Ty put his arm around Sam's back. Sam brushed the hold off with a stern look. But if all of us are here, shouldn't we do something we all can do? Todd was pointing at the girls. As much fun as that would be, we got to get going. Aang took her sister's hand. I mean it. Cry's eyes were lit bright. I can investigate that guy if you want me to. Not everything needs to be investigated by you, Aang told her sister. I'd better go too, Jazz sighed. I'll take you girls. Gio pulled out his keys. There was a note of worry that Jazz turned towards Ty. Promise me that you'll watch out for him. With eyes on Sam, Ty let her know, don't worry. I'm all over him. Sam met that statement. She's talking about you, not to you. I'm not the one that needs protecting. Ty reached out to touch Sam's face. A hand brushed the touch coldly away. I'm also not the one that will protect you, again. He'd lost some ground with the lagging amendment. Ty saw something in the words that he liked. Tanner eased Jazz's mind. I'll be with them this time. She reminded him, don't be late for the meeting. Your production is top on the list, don't forget. This man needs to have fun, Gio interjected. Todd whined. But I really want to go too. Court was laughing the plea off, then get a fake ID or grow older. Sounds like Sam might have a guy. I don't, was the firm statement that was directed at Ty rather than Court. It delighted Ty, who was trying to pull Sam closer. Jazz held Aang's arm. Sam's already anticipating Ty's thoughts. Sam looked pained. Can't we do something that I can do too? The pleading in Todd's voice got mostly grimaces. Except for Sam, who snatched the opportunity. Yes, go be you somewhere else. I'll go on alone. Ty pressed closer. You're a part of this. You screwed up when you helped Ty, Tanner laughed. Clearly, was the muttered comment. He continued on, you're a part of the group now. But aren't I too? Todd's worried words fell. Gio chimed in, you're not, and be glad you're not. Court was rolling his eyes. Don't give him the speech about good life choices. Well, you're clearly not, Gio was chiding his brother. Because not all good life choices are the right choice, Court defended with a flippant and arrogant grin. That doesn't even make sense, Gio looked pained. Actually, it kind of does. Jazz shared a wistful grin with Aang. Whose side are you on? Gio questioned her. Jazz only laughed at the question. Made sense to me. There was a shrug of Sam's shoulders. Give me an example, Gio challenged. Ty's enchanted smile said that he thought pursed lips looked good on Sam. Again, Sam shrugged. Just trying to piss you all off enough that you'll go away. Gio couldn't form a response to that. His hands moved and his mouth was open, but the words were stalled. With a smile at Sam, Ty let him know, but now he wants to encourage me because it annoys you. So, your bluff doesn't work. Unless you were bluffing about the bluff, in which case. Someone please make him stop, Sam begged them. Their laughter showed that Sam wasn't going to get the help he was pleading for. You good on your own, or you need lift home? Court was talking again to Todd. But I. Bar, kid, Court reiterated. And Gio's right, the bar is no place for you. So you want to catch a lift with Gio or not? When Todd's wide eyes shot over, there was a sigh from Gio. You need a lift. You got one. Actually, there was hesitation. I forgot my books. I'll go see if they've locked up yet. You sure? Court questioned. Yeah, I'll be okay, he nodded. Alright, Court gave in. Just call if you need me. Cool? I sure will. Todd's eager grin was back. The girls moved off with Gio while Todd ran back towards the theater. Hearing his phone, Tanner had picked up to find a text from one of the crew. Court slapped his arm to get him to put it away. He did so right after replying. Now ahead of them, Ty and Sam were already walking. I don't like crowds, and I don't like you, Sam was saying. I believe half of that. Dark eyes glittered at Sam. But don't worry. I'm right beside you. You're most of the problem, was Sam's immediate reply. Most? Sam pushed at the large shoulder. Your muscles take up a lot of room. You're wondering what I look like naked, aren't you? Ty's arrogance was met with a pointed smirk. What does that mean? Suspicion was heavy. Sam lifted their joined hands. Let go of my hand, and I'll tell you. Ty's eyes were narrowed. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, the smug confidence in Sam's voice said otherwise. Then just keep holding my hand. Walking next to him, Court said, I can't tell if Sam wants him to keep holding his hand or not right now. Maybe it's a win-win for him? Tanner laughed. Hearing his phone chime again, Tanner looked to find that Emily was now texting him. He skimmed the message which concerned the production. He provided assurance within his reply. The phone went dark with a slow breath. They can't even let you get to the bar, Court needled. There's a lot, he shrugged almost helplessly. Are you even going to have enough time for the show and your studies? Your workload must be getting to be killer by now. Court was sympathetic as Tanner answered yet another text from the crew. He shrugged with a light tone. No one cares if it is. We care, Court was offended. But Tanner hadn't been complaining with the statement. He was going to try to explain, but Sam spoke first. He's right. No one cares. We care, Ty softly emphasized. Sam rolled his eyes then continued, which is why you have to. Sooner or later, everyone has to deal with disappointment. Wouldn't kill you to remember that when dealing with them. Slowly he nodded. So, you're telling me to learn to say no to people? There was a subtle laugh from Ty. Hypocritical if he did. Sam looked at him with annoyance. You haven't actually said no to me, Ty pointed out happily. Sam challenged silently. Before Ty could say anything more, Sam turned to him. People will always use you up. Let them if you want to. He considered his response carefully. It's more that I want the resume padded before I even finish school. I know what I want and I'm going all out now. But I hear you. Thanks, Sam. Not saying it to be helpful. Just pointing out the obvious, he muttered. They're called boundaries. The inference was not lost on Ty. It was just wasted on him. We teach people how to treat us. Court was emphasizing it for his benefit. To Sam, he explained, Tanner's family realized a long time ago that he's capable of taking care of them. So, for every little thing they run to him. It's a little more complicated than that, he tried to argue. He picked up the call. What's up? Mom? The whining that immediately accosted his ear sort of bolstered Court's stand that his family used him. They walked for a block before Tanner could finally get in a word. He's got sports and school, Mom. Cut him some slack. I'll send him the reminder. But if you're that concerned about it, you can call. That wasn't ever going to go over. And he should have known that. The conversation around him continued as Ty told Sam, he's always around when we need help. But he's never around just to hang out. Seems like he's doing that now. Sam had his back. Ty pointed his direction to highlight the fact that he was on the phone. There was a hint of a grin as Sam accused, you are needy. I'm demanding, Ty corrected with meaning. I'll take care of it, he cut his mom off. I'll take care of it. She had disconnected the call. Slowly he lowered the phone. He would try not to get annoyed. It was his fault that his family relied so much on him. Sam had a question. Did they even ask about you? Or did they just take? Well, he gestured helplessly. There's a couple of psych classes at the university that might help you figure out boundaries. Snap, Court laughed. Just walk. He also laughed. Sam's barbs were more entertaining than they were hurtful. When they got to the pavilion, there was already a lineup forming. Primarily, it was university students looking to forget everything they had to learn and have a cheap meal. The lineup would go for blocks at the peak of the night. With Geo back among them, it was time to go inside. Tanner picked up the rear as they walked over. At the door, the bouncers nodded at Sam. The rope was released, allowing them to go in without a cover charge. There were mutters and murmurs from the envious. Man, I feel like a VIP, Court preened. That's because you can sue and they know it. Sam almost didn't sound bored. He met the questioning gaze. The video. Tanner was curious, so what's your leverage? There was a pause alongside the look Sam gave. They're a client. What work does a bar need from you? Geo's question could be construed as rude, but it only got an impassive shrug from Sam. They were inside, but a glance around didn't reveal anything more than Sam's shrug did. They moved towards a table at the far wall, something a little quieter and furthest from the dance floor. Tanner took the edge of the booth, knowing that he was going to have to leave before the others. Sam? One pink and one purple pigtail framed a cherub face. You're being sociable? If you're being held against your will, greet me pleasantly. Do you want the artwork for that tattoo? Sam glowered. Laughter came easily. Okay. No more said. What am I getting you boys? They began making their orders when Peyton walked over. Sam sighed. Ty put an arm around him that Sam tried to shake off with a deeper glower. Ty was pleased with an edge. Sort of a strange combination that had Tanner's eye. Ah, I've never seen my friend so happy. Peyton was laughing at Sam's attempt to dislodge Ty's arm from his shoulder. I will. Peyton cut Sam off. Tanner, I sent you suggestions for the stunts. Great, thanks. He was already pulling out his phone. Court put a hand on his arm while he glared at Peyton. No talk about work. This guy needs to relax. But stunts make me happy, and he'll relax more knowing that one more thing is checked off the list. There was a smugness about Peyton. He's right. Tanner continued to retrieve his cell. He's transparent. Sam muttered more to himself than to them. Yet you still haven't seen through my devious plot, Peyton smirked. Sam volleyed back, unless your devious plot is in line with mine. Ooh, Peyton sat down. The plot thickens. The plot is muddy. Court voiced confusion. What the hell? The girl with the pigtails offered. These two have an unusual relationship. Good luck to you figuring it out. There was a darkness in Ty's expression that took away the smile that was beginning to surface in Sam's eyes. Questioning eyes stared back at demanding ones. The vibration of a text message coming through drew his eyes away from the two of them. Anger assaulted him. It was coming from his brother this time, who hated being bothered by their mother. Assuming it was about the production, Court slapped his shoulder in reprimand. He put his phone down without answering. Their server was carrying on. We eating tonight? There were nods around the table. The others were familiar with the menu. He glanced at it to see if there was something slightly more healthy than greasy burgers or nachos. Sam turned his head to face her. Nothing with onions. She said this at the same time that Peyton did. I'll have the kitchen make you the usual. Though you'd better eat it this time. More messages were coming through, and he glanced at them instead of at the menu. He's not in his art. He'll eat, Peyton assured. It's not my fault you guys kept shoving food at me. Sam gave a flippant shrug. Peyton was laughing at him. You were working for 12 hours without a meal. You needed to eat. Gone longer than that without a meal. Sam gave a pointed look at his friend. Then that look turned to Tanner. Seen you go without meals too. You gonna order or just stare at your phone? He's right. Put the phone away and be here, Geo scolded. Then he made a suggestion. Nachos? Hell yeah. Court was in agreement. Geo nodded. Nachos, onion rings, and pepper balls, Peyton added in. Aren't you supposed to be helping set up? Her question was sweet to tease him. Tanner also likes spicy, Peyton defended. And I can come steal some before we start tonight. She gave in with a laugh. I'll bring the drinks shortly. Is Rich here? Sam sounded angry. She nodded with a smile. At the bar, something heavy seemed to rest upon Sam's shoulders. With a decision quickly made, Sam looked to him. Come with me. Sam's jutted chin told Peyton to move so that he could leave the booth. The others let them leave. They began walking towards the bar. Sam would have walked in silence. Tanner had a question. You okay, Sam? Sam's head turned towards him and they made eye contact. There was suspicion heavy in that fleeting gaze. he explained. You seem more tense now than you were earlier. I told you I don't like crowds. There was bitterness in Sam's voice. Actually, you said you don't like crowds and you don't like him. He'd been referring to Ty. Sam stopped walking for a moment. Head turned slightly towards Tanner. He avoided eye contact though. Look. I'm playing nice for pay. He needs this gig of yours. And I owe him. But I mean it. I'm not a part of anything. There had been a subtle emphasis on that final word. Sam continued towards the bar. Other patrons didn't notice them, but the staff seemed to recognize Sam and waved friendly greetings to him. Sam would only nod minutely back without interest. Rich, Sam called out with a careless, bored wave. Rich was a bar owner. Dress shirt with rolled up sleeves, he was an owner that wasn't averse to doing the work he paid others to do. The easy smile of his employees beside him spoke well of the man. Just the guy the first wanted to see. Rich came over. Wanted to thank you myself for the artwork. The place is looking great. What did Sam do? Tanner was looking around. Once the black lights go on, you'll see. There was confidence. So tell me, you actually a friend of this guy? No, Sam was firm. But then amusement touched his expression. He's a friend of the guy you let get drugged. A look between Rich and Tanner was exchanged. Rich answered, my name's Rich. I own this place. Tanner, he offered his hand. It was taken. We're not interested in taking legal action. But I would like to talk to you if you have the time. You got a moment now? Rich asked him. You don't need me for this. Sam moved to leave. Mimicking Peyton's approach, he moved out his hand without actually touching Sam. It worked. And so he asked, you sticking around? There was pause where Sam's gaze fell to the ground. Grudgingly he nodded, for the free food. There was a laugh from Rich, it's on the house. Sam walked away, hopefully to make good on his claim. Rich asked him, what's going on? Tanner could only shrug. I think my friend is making a good impression on Sam. The friend we're going to talk about? Rich asked as they began walking to the back. Tanner nodded. Yeah, gotta admit, didn't expect Sam to step in like that. Rich walked ahead. So, they know each other? He shook his head. No, or not at the time. They didn't. They moved past the bar to the back room where Rich's office was. Overcrowded with papers, boxes, and bottles, it was almost cozy here. The laptop upon the desk was closed and plugged in. Rich claimed a seat on the edge of the desk and offered Tanner the seat in front of him. But he waved off the offer. Rich tackled the subject as he slightly adjusted his position on the desk. There isn't a lot I can tell you about what happened. The kid responsible is claiming that he was pissed your friend was taking the attention of his girl away. And he is just that, by the way. A kid. I can't give you a name. Underage? There was nod, his brother's ID. Tanner wanted to know, do you know what the kid tried to slip Ty? There was some hesitation, but after a moment, he conceded. Prescription muscle relaxants. His mother's. Cops involved? There was a slow shake of his head. We're working outside the police, but he is being held responsible. Good enough, he let up. Really? Rich was skeptical. If that's really all it is, then that's all it is. And I'd probably handle it the same as you in your position. With an easy grin, he let Rich know. My friends aren't saints, but they're not looking for enemies. Besides, they really like your bar. They don't want to lose this place. I asked Sam to get me in contact with your friends. But I gotta say that I wasn't expecting this to go over so well, Rich admitted. Sam didn't mention that. He was amused, not upset. Not surprising, Rich shook his head with a laugh. His response was that he was done being helpful. How well do you know Sam? Rich was slowly shaking his head. Not that well. I met him through Peyton after I mentioned redesigning the bar. There's a lot of money that goes into renovations, but customers want new and exciting all the time. Peyton recommended Sam. He put in almost 36 hours. Charged minimal and only asked to be left alone. That definitely sounds like him, he chuckled. How was he to work with? He'll be doing work for us at the university. Rich nodded. He's great, once you get past the attitude. He's focused and a damned hard worker. Would love him on staff if kid, but he doesn't socialize well. Yeah, he's surprisingly very considerate. What do you mean? Well, Rich shifted positions slightly. We tried to send Sam home with some meals after he worked all day. But he ended up giving them to one of my staff as he was leaving. Teddy was going through a hard time. His girlfriend would beat him up, but he was too ashamed to tell anyone. I don't even know how Sam knew something was wrong. Teddy hid everything from us until that kindness broke his walls. There was a lot to take away with that. But Tanner was happy with this meeting. Rich continued, Sam's earned a place with us. It's nice to see him opening up. A thought came to mind, so he ventured to ask, don't feel obligated to make accommodations because this has nothing to do with what happened. I'm in charge of the production of our university's first filmed series. I'm scouting possible locations for filming. I'm wondering if you're able to offer the use of your bar. Outside of business hours, of course. I'd have to check with the lawyer, but if there's no concern on their end, I'm game for letting you film here. Can you send me a write-up of what it's about? Something official from the university. No problem, his agreement came quickly. Well, Rich stood up with his hand extended. I'm really glad I got to meet you, Tanner. And I hope we get a chance to work together on your project. He shook the hand and reciprocated the sentiment. They walked back out. Rich headed to the bar. Tanner moved off to rejoin the others. When he got back to the table, appetizers were already there. A plate and a cold beer were waiting for him. The table had fallen silent when he'd approached. It had nothing to do with him. Ty's fingers manipulated the cutlery with a light touch. His eyes held soft amusement. The others were staring at him because it wasn't typical to see Ty play with his food. What are you doing? Gio asked when it became apparent that Ty was ignoring them. He responded as though the actions weren't obvious. I'm taking out the onions. But you love onions, the confused statement was made. Ty grinned. With his head he gestured towards Sam. But I wanna hit this later and onions ain't setting the mood. Sam choked on his drink. He tossed a glare Ty's direction amid the laughter from the others. How'd it go? Gio shifted their focus. He nodded as he reached for the drink. It's fine. Just a kid thinking Ty was going to steal his girl. Ty lifted a brow in question. Sam seemed to hide his amusement behind the bottle of beer he drank from. It was just muscle relaxants apparently. He tacked on to see Sam's amusement shift to annoyance as he turned his head towards Ty. What? I put myself into this shit over a muscle relaxer? I should have let him drug you, Sam muttered, setting down his drink so that he could cross his arms. Tanner heard his phone chime, alerting him to a text. While he reached for his phone, Ty was sliding an arm around Sam, but you didn't. Sam attempted to pull Ty's hand away. The other hand moved in to lock Sam in his embrace. Ignoring them with a grin, Tanner let them all know, Rich said that we might be able to film here. You going to exploit us like that? Ty looked over. Hell yes, he laughed. Sam also softly laughed until Ty's pointed stare turned his way. Sam's smile was gone, and determinedly he continued to pull at Ty's arms which were holding him close. Helpfully he reminded his friend, besides, you already got your compensation for that night. I am not compensation, Sam snapped. You jumped to that conclusion real quick. Ty's predatory look was out. How do you know he wasn't talking about something else? Sam opened his mouth, but then closed it again when it seemed he couldn't come up with an explanation. Vexed, he resorted to glaring at Ty. The server with the pigtails was back with another round of drinks for them. Tanner's phone chimed again, though the server noted Ty's proximity to Sam. She served their second round with a quiet smile. Tanner was looking at the text that came through. It was Jazz. Are they really not going to let you have one evening off? Court was disgusted. He shook his head without an explanation. Mostly because, even as he read, a phone call was coming through from someone from the drama club. Despite Gio and Court's recommendation to ignore the call, he picked up. With patience that was already beginning to run thin, Tanner listened to the whining from the other end of the call. Problems happened in any production. But why couldn't someone handle things without running to him? For this person, it was a matter of not wanting to have any responsibility. He reminded himself that at least they were a hard worker. Just not built for decision-making. Tanner suppressed a sigh. Don't worry about it. It's my name on everything, so if the school has an issue, they'll come to me. I'll message Jazz and we'll bring it up at the meeting. He listened to the profuse gratitude for having been let off the hook of any responsibility. While that was going on, he felt Court hit his shoulder to get his attention. Court jutted his chin, so he followed the direction with his eyes. Peyton was being shoved back by an angry-looking guy who was backed by his group of friends. Sam and Ty were getting out of the booth. Sam had an annoyed look. Not my problem. He's your friend, right? Court pointed this out with amusement. And it had that annoyed glare coming to him. Never claimed that. It's harder for me to hold you when we're walking. There was laughter in Ty's eyes. Grudging was the expression of submission that preceded Sam giving in to Tai. Court was prodding him so that he and Gio could join them. Tanner got up. Just leave it to me. I'll take care of it, was his assurance. Then he hung up. What is it with you macho types? Irritation was thick in Sam's tone. He'd been looking at Tai as he shook off the hold upon his arm. You think he's macho? With his head up and to the side, away from Tai, Sam breathed softly with closed eyes. Brushing off Tai's hold, Sam moved to stand between his friend and the guy who was clearly pissed off. The way Sam positioned himself said that he was protecting Peyton. Because he wanted to see how this played out, Tanner put a hand upon Tai's shoulder. Gio was doing the same with Court. Just apologize, you idiot. That comment had been directed at Peyton. Dude, there was a flippant lilt to Peyton's voice. I'm not sure I have anything to apologize for. She flirted with me. You gonna call my girl a slut? The words were spat. The pained sigh filling Sam's lungs was stalled when a fist hit him in the chin. His head snapped to the side. But it was his hands that had Tanner's attention. They were at his sides, and he was making no move to bring them up in either offense or defense. It was already too late for them to explain themselves. Tai came in like a landslide, knocking the guy off his feet. That move brought his friends over, which had Gio and Court doing the same. With a wave, Tanner called over the bouncers. While he did, Sam came to join him. The sense of surprise he'd had when Tai came in like a force had been replaced with closed anger. Sensing this was something important, Tanner gave Sam his attention. There was an edge within the soft voice. Clean up his mess all you want, but don't ever step in on mine.